Hi. Okay, so I have got it working. I guess I'll show it first. Play. So let's go smash some stuff up. Oops. Get some rock. Some wood. All this annoying thing gets me every time. Right, so I go into the mode. You can see now it's properly going on the grid. Oh wait, let me get this wood. So the green marker's properly going on the grid. So if I place one down, you can see now the green marker bumps up. You can switch between into wood as well. Place that there. So it seems to be working. So if I come back into edit mode and rewind. So the new thing, or one of the new things, is this little doodah. So at the minute it's visible, so you can hide it. That's fine. Wrong button. So you can see here it's a grid size calculator. So what it's doing, it's getting the position. We can do this via a tag. So you can see there it's getting scene space transform. It's getting the position of this one. And then you can see this one here, the purple one, is also doing the same. So it's getting the position of the purple block, well, position, rotation and scale. It's just dumping these two, it doesn't need them, and then feeding out just the position. And it's feeding the position from the purple one into the green one, so you can see, look, other block position. And it's doing that same bit where it's dumping, for this green block it's now doing the same thing, where it's dumping the rotation and the scale, it just wants the position. So what it's doing is it's subtracting, look, there's a minus symbol, it's subtracting this position from and this position. So it's doing a subtract between those two, and the result is here. So this will be the result for X, Y and Z. And then this thing is, if you go in here, you don't really need to know, but it's absolute value. That means it always is a positive value. So if it was ever minus 10, it would become 10. And if it was 10 to start with, it would stay 10. So what that means is we're always getting a positive number. So you can see there, I've now got a positive number. So the way I've done it is, so it works wherever you position it or rotate these things. It's basically doing that thing, the subtract here, and then for each one, and you can see some of them are 0, but one of them has a value. Well, some of them are 0 because, well, look, they're at the same height and the same position. Yeah, the only bit that's different is that they've been moved apart on that axis. So only one of those is showing the distance between those two. And just the way that Dream's logic works is pretty cool. We can feed all three numbers in to this thing, which is just a node, passes on the value, but it's basically the highest one wins. So because two of these are 0, it's always going to be that one because it is the highest. And that, can you see there? So 0.5, it's halfway up the value. So the width, or the distance between the two blocks, is 0.5. So that's important. Oops. So you can see there, I'll open that back up. The calculation is feeding back out the grid size. It's coming back up. It's going all the way into some logic up here. So let me. Oops. Is it still open? Yeah. So it's going all the way, the grid size, into the build cursor. So the build cursor, what the hell's that? It's basically an extended version of that snap to thing I sent you. So you can see there's the snap to stuff. The only thing I added was these tweak options. So what this does, it does that same snap thing, But then after it's finished snapping in these, it adds a little bit or minuses a little bit from it, and that lets us, if they're going too far into the ground, you can, like, I'm tweaking it up a little bit on Y, which is up. So I just added those so you can play around and get it how you want. But yeah, that's mostly the same. And the other thing that's in here are the bits that actually emit the wood or the stone. So the reason I put it in here, so remember it's this green thing, this green block. The reason I put it here is because we don't have to set a position in the emitter's transform, right? So you don't have to set that. When the emitter's in this logic chip here, and then the logic chip has been snapped onto the block, the emitter's always just gonna emit it, you know, relative or next to or whatever, but basically associated at the same position as this block. So it just makes it easier. And the way now it triggers, you can see here there's a wireless receiver. It's basically listening for some kind of signal on the word build wood or build stone, and then it's emitting, and then that same object just emitted that you had before is feeding back into this thing. So and then we come over here. This is your original logic, and you can see here there is the build wood transmitter. We're feeding it in a signal of 1. We're powering it on like you had before, but that just emitted signal that we did over there and the other chip gets spat out here and then plays the sound and does your other bits. So it's the same for that as well, for the stone. They're both the same mechanism, just one sends build stone, and then I think you have a different sound effect, but that's it. The only other thing I did over here was I made sure that these blocks are exactly the correct size on the grid, and I did that basically just aligning it to grid next to the green one down there, and I think also you had tons of logic chips all like slapped on here all over the place, so I just tidied those up for you and put them in there. I think that's right. Anyway, so the last bit is how do we do the actual cursory stuff. So you can see, make sure I'm out of all the groups. So this one is separate in the world. It just lives in the world, and then this one, can you see the grey thing is attached, right? So the grey thing here is the ideal location where we want to place our blocks. So it's like going, right, place it here. So that's useful because you could actually come in here and go, actually, I want it to place, I want him to be placing much further in front. And you could just go and put that there. And then this cursor is always going to be like that distance from him. So let's undo that because it's rubbish. So in here, there's just some basic logic. So you had your laser before, it was attached on the underside of this. So instead of that, I've just put it in a chip. It's nice and tidy, and it lets you do this. It lets you control the laser beam much easier. So you can see there, now that it's in a chip, I get this little gizmo, and I can get and set that nicely. So there's the laser, and that will do as you did before, hit the ground and give us the hit position. Okay, so it feeds the hit position out from here and into here, position to snap to, the grid size, does the snapping logic, and then whenever it's told to, emits stuff. And there you go.